Hi guys, Vino here and welcome to this Vino Plunk production. And I think it's time for a cuppa. Damn nice cup of coffee. Actually, that's probably the first cup of coffee I've had in a couple of weeks from home. I've had a couple of coffees, or 3 coffees or so, from work over the last couple of weeks, because you know how it is, guys. Sometimes you just need a coffee to get through work. Sometimes just going to move my mic just over a little bit, hopefully it doesn't cause too much noise on the mic itself. But how are you guys doing? Hopefully you are doing really well. I'm doing pretty damn fantastic. So this is going to be a bit of a bumper edition of a TFAC. The reason for that, I've recorded 2 or 3 TFACs over the last couple of weeks and haven't edited and uploaded any of them. So I thought what I'll do is just mash them all together into one big bumper edition, which is this one, and go from there, basically. It's really funny. The pod that I used to make this cup of coffee has actually been sitting around for 2 weeks. I found it down the back of my coffee machine and I put it to one side and I kept going to myself, I'll use that at some point. I'll use that at one point. Haven't used it. I went to go make myself a cup of coffee the other day and picked a different pod and then decided against it because it was way too hot to have a cup of coffee. More of that in a moment. And then the other pod was literally, next to me, yet I decided to go and get a different pod. Yet today, I've used that pod. And it's funny that sometimes, at least for me, sometimes life gives you lemons, right? Sometimes life gives you ready-made lemonade, and you kind of think to yourself, oh, thank you very much, life, for giving me that, that not curveball, the opposite of whatever the opposite of a curveball is. And this video is kind of that. So before we get into the latter part of the video, I'm going to update you on a couple of things surrounding my phone. I still have the 7 Pro on me at the moment. Long story short, put my brain to gear. Long story short, the person who's going to get the Pixel off of decided to bow out of that deal, basically. I'm not sure what my last video completely entailed, but I think it entailed me going somewhere to grab a Pixel A from somebody. But long story short, the person decided to back out of that deal, mainly because their son, broke their phone, and they're now using the Pixel 6a as a spare, as their phone, basically. I think personally that's complete BS, if you want my opinion, because they'd already said to me that if no one was going to buy the phone by that Friday, they were going to take it down to CEX and just sell it through CEX. It's just they would rather sell it to somebody because it's less hassle than selling to CEX. And I got this message on Thursday evening. So I'm pretty damn certain that I can be that person just thought, I'm just going to tell some kind of, false sob story to this person and sell it to CX. Am I pissed off? I was at the time. I was actually really pissed off at the time, to be honest. But I then messaged my housemate about the whole situation, and long story short, we're going to do a phone swap. We haven't done it yet, just haven't found the time to do it yet. Probably going to do it today at some point, or this evening at some point, but that's an update on the phone. I'm be going from a OnePlus 7 Pro to a Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro, I think is the phone that he currently has at the moment. But that's the plan in terms of phones, and that will be the end of phones for a while, to be honest, because I just want to move on. I did have some fears that this phone wouldn't be able to scan the QR code that I need to be able to my bus ticket for work, but it does actually. But it's just out and about. I can barely see the phone, which that actually leads me quite nicely onto something else that I've bought recently that has caused me to go down a bit of a rabbit hole. So I decided to pick up a drone. This is the Hoddystone HS440, and Hoddystone are kind of the budget version of DJI. There's actually quite a few people out there saying that Hollystone drones are actually pretty damn good for what they are. They're a lot cheaper than DJI drones, and they can sort of act as a sort of a stepping stone onto then a DJI drone. I've had this drone for about 2 or 3 weeks now, and I am really enjoying playing around with it. I've just been flying around the house for now because you need an operator ID in the UK to fly outside, but it's just a nice little drone. Comes with 2 batteries, controller. The controller has a grip on it for your phone, and that's why the fact that you can't see that my phone in direct sunlight, why that kind of leads into the drone, because at the moment, if I were to pilot this, you know, out and about and wanted to see the footage or see what the drone could see on my phone, I can't do that right now because you can't see the phone in direct sunlight. But I've been having a ton of fun with that. Put a pin in the drone for a moment because I'll be telling you some more stuff, some more drone goodness in a little bit. As I said, I've gone down a bit of a rabbit hole. Also, I did unbox this on camera, but of course, that footage has now been deleted. I have received my first Batman graphic novel, 0 Year Part 1. I have flicked through this and read some of it. But yes, I actually really do like this. The Red Hood's in it. Those of you know who the Red Hood is. So let me just read through. Have a look. There we go. There's the art in this. Looks really good. I'm looking forward to reading through this. There's the graphic part of a graphic novel. You know, that's why I think one of the reasons why they're called graphic novels, because they're graphic in more ways than one. But yeah, this is 0 Year Part 1. And I believe, if I'm reading through this, reading through this correctly, that's when the Red Hood goes into the vat. Kind of spoiler alert there. But if you don't know who the Red Hood ends up becoming, well, that's a good indication of who the Red Hood ends up becoming later on. But I'm really looking forward to the next 2 versions. I'm going to say versions. Why am I saying versions? The next 2 copies. Issues, that's what I'm looking for. The next issues will be arriving this month at some point, I'm sure, and that's about £15 for that. So I'm really looking forward to the next 2 issues of that comic. You also heard me in the previous video say I was going to travel to a place called Horsham. Don't know if I actually mentioned I was traveling to a place called Horsham to pick up a couple of games. Well, I picked up those games. So the first one I picked up was Total War Warhammer 3 Limited Edition. Nice little steelbook there. And the next thing I picked up was Total War 3 Kingdoms Collector's Edition. Yep. And if I open up just for a moment, then you can see all the bits and bobs inside. But there will be a dedicated video on this at some point. But I have gone ahead and got those, and I'm really happy with these. I actually ended up getting them from one of the developers that actually worked on the games, which is actually really cool, and why I took the trip out to Horsham to get these, because I thought that was kind of special that they actually came from one of the developers that worked on the games. So that's most of the stuff that I had said in those previous videos, and now we're going to get up to what I wanted to talk about today. So I told you to put a pin in the drone stuff. So, as far as drones are concerned, DJI is king, basically. DJI is knocking out the park, and DJI kind of has a monopoly on drones at the moment, if we're being completely honest. They sell drones from the professional market down to the recreational market, and they're all over the place. I've been looking for a DJI drone for quite some time for a decent price, to be honest with you. I was actually wondering if that was a Facebook seller getting back to me. I'm actually going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so I don't get disturbed during this video. So A few years ago, I was looking to buy a DJI Mini 2 for about £250, £300. It had the Fly More kit. There was a bunch on there at the time that were all scams, to be honest. People sell them for like £50, £60. If you see a DJI drone on Facebook Marketplace for about 50, 60 quid, and it's a DJI Mini 2 or a Mini 3, nah, that's a scam. There's a lot of those people on there scamming people on there. As soon as you message them, they say, oh, if you send me the money, I'll send round Peter tomorrow to deliver your drone. They're complete and utter scams. Anyway, there's a load of them on there. There's a load of them that do Apple phones. There's a load of them that do Asus ROG Allies or Steam Decks, OLED Steam Decks. All of them sell them for like £50, £80. And it's just to try and trick you, and they'll steal your money. Anyway, around this time, I found a DJI Mini 2 on Facebook Marketplace for a decent price. The seller did end up backing out on the deal, but at the time I was like, yep, I'm going to get a DJI Mini 2 with the Fly More kit, and it's going to be pretty damn superb, to be honest. I've since been looking for a DJI drone of some description, and they're a little bit outside my price bracket at the moment. Having said that, there is one I just messaged just a moment ago, and we'll see if they get back in touch with me, and we'll go from there. There is a refurbished drone on DJI's website on the store at the moment that I might be considering. But anyway, moving on. There was somebody selling a DJI Phantom 3 on the Facebook Marketplace, and I said, would you be willing to hold on to it to the end of the month? They said, absolutely, if you pay a deposit. So I sent them the deposit. And then 2 days after sending the deposit, they then messaged me saying, I'm really, really sorry. I've pulled all the stuff out and the batteries aren't charging. And I was like, okay. They said the two options are, you can either, I can refund you your deposit back, or you can take the whole lot for your deposit. The deposit was 20% of the overall price that I was going to pay. I had a look, and within 5-10 minutes, I can find out how to recover the batteries. It's actually really easy how to recover the batteries. So I messaged them back and went, I'll take the drone for my deposit amount, basically. They've now removed it off Facebook Marketplace, and I'll be going at the end of the month to pick it up. That's the DJI Phantom 3. And the reason why I wanted a drone like that is because it has GPS locking. It has a load of extra features. So when I take it out and about, it has a return to home function. This doesn't have a return to home function, stuff like that. So if it does go a bit too far afield, I can recover it back and not worry about that. Having said that, here in the UK, drone laws have progressed quite a bit. The Civil Aviation Authority requires all drone operators to have a drone ID. So if I was to operate this outside, I would have to have a drone ID. I have a park literally just around the corner from me, whichever direction that is, that direction. And I'll be flying most of these in my local park, to be honest with you. You have to have a drone operator ID, which is £11.16 per year if you get it straight from the CAA. You can get it from third parties, so to speak. But I think just go straight to the CAA. Yeah, you can. There's one place you can get it for like £9.50 for. But the whole point behind that, the reason why they sell it a bit cheaper, is they ask for your email address, they ask for your phone number, and they just bombard you with advertising. How do I know this? Because it happened literally the other day, and there's a reason why I was looking at third-party drone instruction individuals or sites and companies. We'll get onto that in a moment. But one place was going to sell a standard ID for £9.50, but as soon as I put my name and number into their website, just got bombarded with all sorts of calls and emails and goodness only knows how what. So nah, I'm not going to go with them. Plus, to get a C2 accreditation, which I need, we'll get onto that in a moment, it's going to cost like £700. No, thank you. I'm not paying that kind of money for that. So the DJI Phantom 3 weighs 1.2 kilograms. The issue with that is any drone above, roll back a little bit, for any drone that's less than 250 grams, you can fly only with a driver operator ID as long as you remain 50 meters away from individuals, buildings, stuff like that. However, once the drone goes above 500 grams, there's a few more limitations and restrictions to that drone. You've got to stay 150 meters away from any buildings or people if you don't have what's called a A2 accreditation. So an A2 accreditation is basically an upgrade in your operator license, basically. And it's one of the companies that I looked at getting an A2 accreditation with is about £100 for the actual course and the exam you'll need to take to get your license. And it takes about 6 hours, give or take, from what I understand. Most people can do it in 2 days, with 6 hours of footage to watch through, basically. And then you've got up to a year after you buy the course to then pass your A2 accreditation, and then you get an A2 drone license and go from there. I probably still am going to go for an A2 accreditation, because once you start on the accreditation path of drones, you can actually start flying some pretty nice drones. And you never know, one day maybe I'll go to a drone meetup and maybe I can fly quite a fancy drone. Who knows, once I got high enough accreditation, because there are some drones that are massive, absolutely massive, and with an A2 accreditation, you can fly quite a few drones. There is an A3 accreditation as well, I do believe, and that's probably even more money, but at the moment I'm looking at an A2. Having said that, there is a DJI Mini 1 SE on Facebook Marketplace in my ear at the moment for about £200. I am considering it. We'll see where things go. That's why I thought that person responding, which looked on my watch, was that person replying to me. It wasn't. We'll see. There is a fairly comparatively cheap refurbished Mini 2 on DJI's website at the moment. I am strongly considering that, I'm not going to lie. But we'll see what happens. And the reason for this is because all the DJI mini drones are 249 grams. They're literally a gram below the 250 limit. So you can still be within 50 meters of people. You only need to pay £11.16 per year for a license. Having said that, you know, if I'm going to be getting a DJI Phantom 3, I might as well take the appropriate course in order to fly that as freely as I'd want to fly a smaller drone. But we'll see how things going. But I am going on a bit of a drone rabbit hole, to be honest. We'll see how deep this hole really does go. I do have some interesting stuff next month that I'm going to be buying off Facebook Marketplace, so stay tuned to this channel and we'll see what pops up. Until next time, guys, please take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Ta-ra.